Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of LXD Guild monthly webinar series presented by LXD Guild Community, India's largest network for L&D professionals. I'm your host, Sandeep, and today we are delighted to have our very own Delhi chapter champion on this webinar, Meena Chawla Elhence, who is here to bring insights on how gamification in learning works. So let us welcome Meena Elhence Chawla. Hey Meena, welcome. Welcome to our webinar.
Hi Sandeep. Hi Sandeep.
Yeah.
Good evening. Good morning.
Welcome again onto our
Thank you, Sandeep.
platform. And also thank you all who are joining this webinar live. Yes, and if you see that you are trying to access the link which is shared and you are not able to join, do not worry. Please access this on LinkedIn. Okay, so this is a LinkedIn live webinar which is going on. So thank you. So quickly, let me go ahead and introduce Meena. Okay, so with more than 16 years of experience across various segments such as K-12, product trainings, corporate e-learning, Meena brings with her a diverse knowledge from these multiple domains. She has a great enthusiasm for learning and development and loves to research about various innovations in the field of L&D. So, welcome to this platform, LXD Guild, Meena. And I know you are not new or neither you are a guest, but you are part of
Thank
our
you so
community.
much. And I'm delighted to be the part of this community. And I'm overwhelmed how the community is growing now with more than 5,000 members in this. So it's a wonderful journey with LXD. And I am back again with another episode on gamification, since everybody is talking about gamification in the e-learning industry. So it's a hot trending topic that we must talk about. So that's why we are here today. So I welcome you all to this webinar on gamifying your learning. So I hope you are all excited and want to understand, or you might be doing also, but somehow there are some blur lines that we need to understand, that what is happening, why are we doing this, or why are we not doing this, or something like that. So we'll try and answer those questions and understand what is what and what is what not, right? I welcome you all to this webinar, Gamify Your Learning, once again. And okay, so let me ask you one thing. Sandeep, what if I tell you that if the most active participant gets an iPhone 16 and the participant stays there for the entire duration of this webinar, I'll give iPhone 16. How does it feel to you?
Oh, I am not sure because is it launched yet? So,
So that was the tricky one, and that's why I said iPhone 16, not iPhone 15.
yeah. So then,
Yeah.
if it is like you can pre-book it, yeah, definitely, yeah. So I think, yeah, we can go and definitely offer that
So
bumper price. Yeah.
so I would want my participants to imagine that they are going to get iPhone 16 and stay motivated and active and participate in the webinar. So okay, now I'll leave you here with this thought, and we'll go ahead. So gamification, as we have already said, that it's a hot buzzing word in the industry, and we have few topics to be discussed. We have had the introduction and why gamify, what is gamification, and the elements of gamification. We are going to talk about some examples, and we are going to talk about gamification and game-based learning both. What are they? And let's see. I mean, let's see what it is. right? So, okay, yeah. So, Sandeep, how do you feel when you hear this word game?
Yeah, it is the moment you see that as a banner, or even if you get to read it, it's more fun. It's always, it immediately relates to fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So what does it feel like that you are going to do something, right? You are going to be the part of
Yes.
it. You're going to be challenged by someone, or you are going to have fun, right? So
Yes, it's fun
that's what.
time. It's time to
Yeah.
enjoy. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And at the same time, you feel challenged also because it's a game, it's not one player. So there would be
Yes.
some parameters on which the game will be played, right? So just next slide, just to have the feel of it, what it is. Yeah, so what it brings, it's basically brings enthusiasm, a feeling of being challenged, and you interact and you get immersed and you feel motivated. So any so are our participants doing something, they have any opinion on this?
Yeah. Please feel free to post your comments in the chat on the LinkedIn
Yeah,
live.
anywhere. Yeah. So yeah, game brings a lot of enthusiasm, challenge, interactivity, immersion, and motivation. Can you please move to the next slide, Sandeep? Now, Sandeep, I'll ask you that how do you feel when you think about these e-learning courses that we create? How has been the feeling after creating so many courses throughout the career? How was the feeling? And I'm asking about the facts, not something just because we are into the we are doing that job. I want to really understand that how did you feel about sometimes you might have felt great. Sometimes okay, so how did you feel? I want to know from you.
Yeah, especially yes. So when during my career, initial days of my career, so whenever this e-learning or we never used to understand what is e-learning that point of time maybe, but it's more like a course which has to be completed.
Yeah.
That is all which I knew. Okay, and then we know that okay, so there is a hack to that, that you need to just click that next button, and then we can just go ahead and take some assessment. And even if we don't clear, I know that same questions would repeat. So I just would like to would just keep it that in my mind, and then I used to try for the next attempt, and then I used to clear rather than wait to listen to all that lengthy videos or lengthy audio
Right.
content, right? So that is what which I had initial days, but now I see a great transformation in e-learning, and especially as we are talking learning experience design, that is something which is happening at this point of time as we talk in this e-learning industry. So that is what which I can feel, or as you are saying,
Yes.
what I can think of e-learning courses.
Yes, definitely. So if you can go to the next slide. Yes, so far, we used to feel that these courses are boring. We just have to go and click next. And we after a lot of telling, there will be some tests. So this entire scene goes like tell and test, tell and test, tell and test. So so how does this work? Do you really think this works, Sandeep? That in this kind of environment where adults are taking trainings, and these adults who are into businesses, who are solving business problems, or working in corporate, do you think this kind of technique, tell and test works? The courses that are being built, we are just testing their knowledge basically. We are not putting them to we are not making them learner, help them use those skills in the practice. It is just tell and test. So that's what has happened. It has been boring, non-engaging, too much tell, and sometimes not meeting the business goal eventually.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree to
do
that.
you do you
Yes.
do you do you feel so? So yeah, and in
Yes.
fact, even
Yes.
if
As
we
you,
are asked, yeah, so even if we are asked that you have to take this course, we cannot survive more than 5 minutes.
yeah, I
Right.
think as long as it is compliance course where yeah, you will get your annual rating based on that, then I think definitely people would rush to go ahead and complete their courses, and that too after multiple reminders, right? So that I think, yeah,
Reminders. So
definitely
they
what
are
is shown
not
on the
they
screen.
they they are not motivated by these courses. They are just uh, it is the punishment, that is making them do it, rather than the internal zeal or internal this motivation to do it, right? So as an L&D professional, I really feel that we can do a lot to make our courses better. Um and we can use a lot of elements rather than just tell and test. So what happens is, many a times, okay, we are telling and testing, it could be gamified also, but what happens is we are telling A B C D, and then we are testing on A B C D. But what is happening? They are just clicking, okay, I learned A. From this A, I have this content and this much I have to learn. And then I am asking, okay, let me just give you a small example. How many times uh, somebody would ask you, is fire hot or cold? True or false? So we have seen these kind of trainings, where where we are not challenged only, we are just doing things that we already know because we are already in that job, right? And the learners that we have, they are already in their jobs, they know something of uh, their profile, their job. So we are not giving them autonomy to do anything on their own. So I believe that there is a lot of scope of doing that using gamification. So can you please go to the next slide? So yes, so what is gamification? So we can do that using gamification, right?
Yes,
Let me
yeah.
just,
So
yeah.
yeah. So yeah, truly. So we can go ahead and bring that motivation, and I think one of the technique which can be used or which is being used is gamification. Yes.
Yeah. So so gamification can help us doing that. So can you come to the next slide? So what does gamification do? So I was talking about autonomy. So what does gamification do? It can help you give learner that sense of autonomy, competence. I was talking about competent. So when we are creating these e-learning courses, that we create them you thinking that they are not competent enough, so that's why we ask those kind of true and false question, right? uh, does this make sense that many times we end up asking stupid multiple choice questions and true and false question, uh, which makes them feel that we are not, it doesn't make feel them anything for that matter. So we, using gamification, we can help them feel that sense of autonomy, being competent and being related. So there are some tricks that you can do, use in your projects to improve your courses. I'll share those one or two tricks here only. So because many times we are told that we don't have a budget, right, for the gamification project. So I'll share one or two tricks and tips. Some people might have used those in their environment. So as I was talking about, tell and test. So those kind of tricks used to work in the school environment, right? So we had some syllabus, we had to finish it, and then at the end of the year we had a test. So the objective was different. We had to fill in the knowledge, because knowledge in the students head, because at that point in time they were empty head, they were gaining a new knowledge. But we have adult learners who are working with us, who are professionals, who have all the experience gained throughout their career, right? So how can we make learning which makes them feel a feeling of autonomy, competence and relatedness? So rather than telling and testing, what you can do is you can just test and then tell. What do we mean by that? You can allow the learner to play around a topic, you know rather than sequencing a topic. You give topics to the learner and allow them to go through them in their own way. That ways it gives them sense of autonomy, that they have control over it. They don't have to go A, B, C and D only. They, if they know A already, they don't need to go through point A, right? And then they feel that, okay, I have this liberty to do what I need to do. So it is relatedness, that this is what I am supposed to be doing and this is what I'm supposed to know. So this can make them feel that I'm related. They don't have to go to A, B, C and D in a sequence. So you can allow the learner to choose their topic on their own rather than telling them to do. So this is one of the way I feel that you can, without the adding element actually doing gamification, you can allow them to do it, themselves. So gamification, what does it do? It basically, helps meet basic need of the learner, which is autonomy, competence and relatedness. And of course it brings lot of engagement, motivation, challenges, and it inspires you. And so, okay, Sandeep, what have you seen gamification happening in real life?
Yes, yeah. So yeah, gamification in real life, I definitely love to play games. Yes, and yeah, a lot of maybe yeah the video games which are there. But I think yeah now we do not have much time to go and do that. But I recall in my younger days, yes, yeah, those days we used to
Okay,
get something
so
or the other
so
on hand, just keep doing that. Yeah.
yeah. So what if I tell you gamification is happening everywhere in our real life?
Oh yeah, I would like to know that.
So okay, so what happens when you have this credit cards? You shop more, you get more. You shop more, you get reward points, and you have, you keep on doing this. Does this engage you?
I don't know about the engagement, but yeah, definitely the credit card statement bill would
so
be
so so,
very much
so these
engaging.
Yes, so these people are meeting their objective basically, So the loyalty programs, you see, the loyalty programs, the fitness apps that keep showing you have not finished your steps for the day. It keeps challenging you that you haven't done your job. And what else? Those, okay, community
I
forums.
think
What about community forums?
yes, yeah, they are also very much engaging. I think because yeah, I think there are certain things or aspects like leaderboard which definitely are engaging, and it's the same even with few of the fitness apps like I can see Cult Fit, which I use.
Yeah,
So yeah, it is also engaging because you get to go and see, okay, so how many days in a week are we or are as a person I'm going ahead for my fitness, and where do I stand in the ranking, like so on an average in a week, okay, 3 days is what this many percent of people do, so I fall into that category or not. So that is something which is definitely motivating. Yeah, at least if I don't know if I go there and really work out the entire 1 hour or 2 hours, but I think at least reaching there, there's some motivation through these apps. Yeah.
yeah, at least you end up doing something, if not completely, but you will
Yeah.
do. You get motivated by that. Can you please go to the next slide? So yeah, so all these coupons, credit card, point credit scores, fitness apps and community forums. I wanted to specifically talk about community forums that we have. So we all have seen in Articulate 360. We have community e-learning heroes. What are they doing? They have gamified their business model. Everybody is participating in that, and putting their points across, and making people engage, and understanding what exactly customer wants, and they analyze the data and they improve the product you know every few months or every year, I would say. So these community forums are actually part of gamification only, right?
Yes.
So that's how they're meeting their business goal. So we have to see at a larger screen, how they are doing it. So that's what I was saying, that it's not only about now doing tell and test that yes, I have gone through this course and now I have done this. So it's about meeting business goals, so how you do in real life. So that's where the gamification and the entire marketing this thing is gamified. The concept
Yes.
of marketing, this everything is gamified now. So
Yes.
yeah,
I
we have
see
so
that.
many
I see
real.
that. I see that, and I think it was e-learning industry something, yeah. So where I've seen a lot of contributors, like it's more to the articles on the platform. So they have something like a leaderboard, and which really motivates, right? It's not something in kind that they are
Right.
doing it, but maybe more like that there is a motivation and also the visibility, right? So that is same
Yes.
with so I just would like to mention to our
Yeah.
members, to our community LXD Guild. So it's the same
Mm.
where we have launched our new platform. You can go ahead and visit www.lxdguild.com, and you can see this amazing new platform which is called as LXDVerse, which brings you similar experience, right? So you can go ahead and explore that and let us know, like, how do you feel that experience of maybe gamification or gamified content. Yeah, and you are welcome to go ahead and start contributing similar way so that you also stand on the leaderboard. Okay. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, over to you, Meena.
Yeah. So can you please go to the next slide, Sandeep? So we have already discussed this. What are the elements of gamification? So these are basically badges, reward points, or some kind of intrinsic motivation. I'm again and again saying motivation. I have combined the word gamification and motivation. I can't help it. I'm so
Looks
sorry.
like looks like you coined a new word, actually.
Yeah. So so
That's
so we
okay.
have yeah, so we have leaderboard levels. So we have levels in games. So in the gamification course we have levels, level 1 2 3 and so on. And sharing means the community forums, and sometimes company gives some caps or some kind of badges to show that these employees have done these trainings, and so just to motivate them. So there are there are different ways of motivation, extrinsic and intrinsic, that we all know. So many a times these motivation work on in gamification. How do you feel, Sandeep, that these kind of elements that are there in gamification work on which kind of motivation level? Yeah. So where do you think, like, these kind of motivate elements of gamification going to work? Is it
Uh,
intrinsic, extrinsic? Where?
I think I think yeah, it is mostly, yeah, when you are part of a corporate, yeah, definitely your day-to-day activities, yeah, which are embedded with a lot of what do you say? I think levels, yeah, definitely all your trainings, you have a lot of levels on that, and also there are rewards, yeah, for whatever you are doing, as you mentioned, yeah, certain gifts or certain what do you say, rewards, yeah, that is always there, like some gift hampers or some coupons are given for completing something, right? But majorly what I see is, like as I mentioned, so it is also becoming part of the performance. So that is
Yes.
where LXD Guild drives, and that is one of our missions and motives, where we want to drive organizations with learning towards
Yeah.
becoming learning organizations. So I
Yeah.
think that's where even gamification will definitely add on, because end of the day, motivation matters, right?
Yeah. Right. So
Hope
now
I
we
did
can
answer the
quickly go to the.
question.
Yes. So yeah, so what is gamification? Basically, we have already discussed so much about gamification that now we basically know. So what it is? It is basically, we have talked about the elements of gamification, but what kind of scenarios were there? It was not game scenario. It was a business scenario. It was not a game. So gamification is basically including the elements of game in non-learning concepts. So we have leaderboard. We can go to the next slide, Sandeep.
Okay, this looks like more like a definition. Okay, can I go ahead and read it? Yeah.
Yes,
So a
sure.
gamification, yeah, a gamification framework is a set of guidelines or design principles to incorporate game design elements into non-game context. So I think the highlight in all this is what I can easily look into is more on the guidelines of some what we call as rules, right? So every
Yeah,
game has a rule. Yeah,
yeah.
that is something which attracts or which caught my eye.
This was theoretical, so we'll do it quickly.
Yes. So how do you gamify learning content, right?
Yes. How do we gamify learning content? So let me take you through an example. We can go to the example, Sandeep. So, okay. Now consider that, okay, so compliance training are the most, boring trainings that people go through, and they have to go through it, right? They want it or they don't want it, they have to go through it. So uh, I have just taken a very basic example of compliance training, and we'll see that how it is done in different environments. So we have a compliance training, and there is a compliance related to fire safety, and you have already told the learner, this and that, do's, don'ts, whatever, XYZ, whole lot of scenarios and things like that. So how would you deal with it? You want to test the learner, what is their capability, what they have learned, what they have not learned. So how you want to test the learner, how would you do that? So can you please go to the next slide, Sandeep? So this is the typical scenario that we do. I'm not sure if this number is correct or not, 19111. It's just a random number that I've taken up. So what would you do? You'll go and ask a basic quiz question. There is a fire, what you would you do in this case? Call, scream, and let everyone know. Things like that. So this is a basic thing that you will let learner test. Okay, this person knows that if there is fire, then yeah, he or she has to go to fire extinguisher. So done. No motivation. Now I want to gamify this. How would I do that? You know, so I'll gamify this now. So in this scene, I didn't have the great graphics or something like that. So I would have created a background scene like that and some character there, and then I have a I would describe the scene, that this is what is the scene. In the you are standing here and here is the fire, and you have now 4 seconds to decide what will you do. So you have a timer. If there is a timer which says 4 seconds and there will be an explosion. So what would you do? So
I
I have
think
gamified. I
run
have
away. That
challenged
is
the.
it. Yeah,
Of course,
because
of
in
course,
4 seconds,
there
that
is. So there is no need to and you and okay, sometimes learner make a mistake of selecting option of calling or maybe going to the fire extinguisher, but you have to look at the time constraint. You have 4 seconds only. I have given you 4 seconds. Had there been 5 minutes or something like that, some other option would have been the better option. So it checks you on your different critical thinking skills, that you have changed the time, then it would be a different answer. If the time limit is less, then there is a different answer. So you can gamify it this way. You can challenge the learner. What is your actual decision making? Where does your actual decision making skill lie in different circumstances? So that's how you can add the element of being challenged in this case. Okay, so that's how one of the ways to gamify. There could be another other ways as well. So you can just go to the previous slide, Sandeep. Can you? Yeah. So okay. Now there could be some other way, and we can have a scenario where the learner is inside the scene. We describe the scene. We describe the scene very descriptively, where we tell that here you see the fire. The fire is, how big is the fire? You can see it. Is it small enough, or it is big enough, or where is the fire extinguisher? How far is the fire extinguisher? Uh, are are there more people around you? You would describe the scene in a greater detail.
Yes.
you know
So,
in a
Meena, we have Nisha asking a question
Yeah.
here. So, how to gamify these images? These are just images or vectors, right? So,
Yeah.
can you go ahead and give some examples? Like, so how can you bring that gamification elements into whatever you are providing as a training? So, any what do you say, a storyboarding structure? Is it
Yes.
something different?
So
And do you have a
yes. So
tools which we can use it?
yes.
And
Yes.
I
Yes.
think Nisha also is talking about Kahoot. Yeah, that is also is one of
Yeah.
the gamification softwares which are used widely, and thanks to COVID, because Kahoot became very
Yeah.
famous.
Yeah. In the we are specifically talking about, since we are talking about e-learning here. So most of the time, I what I have seen is articulate is being used to create such scenes. And you can give description to your graphic designers and e-learning developers that this is how you want your scene to be, right? And since it's an e-learning scenario, I think Kahoot works basically on the live presentations, if I'm not mistaken, because I have used it during the live this thing only, making it more interactive. So I'm not sure about Kahoot for sure, but in the e-learning scenario, we use Articulate 360 to create such
Yes.
scenario, and you can give instructions to your e-learning developers in your storyboard only. So obviously these kind of storyboards are very descriptive. You have to write
Yes.
at length, you have to describe the scene, each and every element of the scene, that how big is the office, or maybe how big is the fire. You can see it, how big is the fire, where is the fire extinguisher from the fire, or maybe the fire is inside the server room. If it is server room, you can't go and just spill some water over it. It's an electronic
Yes.
thing. So you have to go to depth, of you have to align with SME, that what kind of fire scenes could be there, and what kind of fire scene I am talking about. Is it electric fire, or is it a fire made by some pantry item or something like that, so these kind of things require a lot more detail than regular um, e-learning
Yes.
talent test questions. So
Yes.
your storyboards need to be very descriptive in this case, and they are mostly done using Articulate 360 only.
Yes, to add here, Meena, I think what I have also used in my experience is the animation software Vion, where you can go ahead and articulate a lot of information or similar, what do you say, conversation or communication through a animated version, which really cuts short a lot of effort when you are using on articulate, right?
Yeah,
So
that that
storyline
that
definitely. Yes,
yeah.
but
So that
beyond
is one of the.
actually, yeah, it eases out your effort and also communicates to the audience or to the learner in a
Yeah.
more effective manner, right? So
Right.
beyond is one, I think, yeah, you have several other similar tools which are animated versions, and yeah, out of so you can embed them also as part of your storyline, so that you don't have to again generate everything from scratch within storyline, right? So there's a lot of
Yeah.
development involved. So I think, yeah, so
Right.
these are all mutual, they complement each other and engage the learner end of the day. Yeah, so that is what, and I
Yeah.
recall one of the scenarios where I built something called as risk, right? So risk at a particular organization. So how do you go ahead and mitigate those risks, right? So how do you act when there is a cyber security attack, or if there
Yeah.
is something like external factors like somebody attacking your internal systems or softwares or your data breach. So all those things, how we were able to replicate, as you mentioned, using different use cases, and it
Yeah.
depends upon. So end of the day, what we could see there is not portraying risk as a negative thing, but
Yes.
rather a positive portrayal of it, saying, hey, it is everywhere. But how do you make a decision, right? An informed decision is the objective
Yeah.
of that. So I think, yeah,
Right.
so gamification is really great in such scenarios where we need to engage the learner, yeah, or educate the
Yeah.
learner. Thank you.
Yeah. So can you please go to the slide, Sandeep? So, okay, I was talking about this scenario wherein, learner is inside the scene, and he or she is taking the decision at that moment when you have described it, in detail, the distance from, door, or maybe lift, or maybe, what is then at that point in time, what is the right thing to do. So in this case, we are allowing the learner to take decision depending on his or her situation at that point in time, right? So the learner, since he or she is inside the scene, will move here and there and see what I need to do. How do I need to go out of this situation. So it will again, let the learner decide what needs to be done at a particular point in time in a given situation. So if you compare this slide and the previous slide, there is a lot of difference. Here, the learner is not going to be inside the scene. We, you know, we are not telling them that this is what it is. This is the scene is not there in front of them. They have to take live decisions. But if you go to the previous slide, this one, so we are constraining them to a situation that this is what it is and you have to take a decision. So if you look at it, you'll understand the main difference. This is gamification. We are engaging them to take a decision in certain situation. Whereas in this case, the second case, the learner is inside the scene and he or she is taking a decision in a simulated environment. So this is game based, and the previous one was gamification. So there is difference between gamification and game based learning,
Oh, wow.
right? Right.
Yes.
So if you look at it, so game based is more of task specific. It is focused on the task. It is more targeted on the learner, what he or she needs to do in a simulated certain particular situation. Rather, whereas the gamified learning works on the motivation part of it, wherein we provide them with leaderboard badges and things like that, right? So in the game-based learning, we allow the learner to try his or her skill in risk-free settings. In future, if that kind of situation comes up to him or her, he or she'll be able to take the right decision in that point in time. Whereas gamification just helps on the extrinsic motivation part of the
Yes.
learning.
Got it.
So that's how gamification and game-based learning are two different things, and you can play around with it, depending on
Yes.
budgets as well. But as I mentioned earlier, that gamification, we are told many times that gamification clients don't have budget for it. you know that's the major constraint that we feel. So in that case, my whatever I have learned throughout, and the knowledge that I got is that every time tell and test should not be done. We are adult learners. you know you let the learner test. For example, the example that I was giving, you can have multiple choice questions, but you tell them in the beginning, and for each option you give them the tell mode, right? Even if the learner is making wrong choices, you will tell them. Anyways, you are telling, but what you are doing is you are giving them autonomy. You are giving them power to do wrong thing also. Because what we are told that we learn the most from our mistakes. Rather, when we do wrong things, we learn more. So that's the idea behind this, that we learn more when you do things in a wrong way rather than doing it right, because otherwise it's right and you forgot, you clicked ABC and you just made a tukka and said okay C, and it was right and you're done. So that's what I'm saying, that it is not always about budget. You can play around with the concept. So what's your thought on this, Sandeep? Does it make you
Yes,
feel?
yes, yes. So I think, yeah, so you have presented what is exactly the difference between gamification and game-based learning, which I think
Yeah.
is definitely a lot of confusion because, yeah, people tend to use those terms just at ease. But I think, yeah, this how you brought the concept or how you revealed with examples, right? So where gamification is more to do with motivation, but sorry, motivation. So my God, I think I got your new word to, yeah, I got to use your
Contagious.
new word. Yeah, contagious now. So yeah, so gamification is more towards motivation, whereas game-based learning is something more to involve the person, get them into that scenario. Is more like a simulation where people get to experience it. I think so. To relate, yeah, gamification, yeah, so it is more to do on the LMSs which we are getting, or the LXPs which we are having platforms. They have this inbuilt, what you say, features. Whereas game-based learning, I think it is more towards the manufacturing sectors where they do not get that time to read an extensive documentation or learning content. Maybe get them an experience of, for example, okay, they have to handle a particular machine, and then they get to understand how that entire thing works. And I've seen those AR VR, which is the next level of this. I think this is definitely changing the industries, what to say, presenting information and helping, as we mentioned, the learner to make informed decisions, right?
Yeah.
So it's not always the negative side of things, as again mentioned, yeah, but be prepared. So maybe a risk comes across, and then how do you react? So that is something. So
Yeah.
do you react? Do you? So that is something.
Yeah.
Do you react or do you respond? That is always the
Yeah.
question. So I think how we deliver the content is very, very important. Thank you for
Right.
adding that and giving that.
Right. So yeah. So we can go to the next slide and just summarize that what we have done.
Yeah,
So
before that, Meena, so there are like, so do you want to share some apps or softwares which you have come across apart from Storyline or
So
Capstone
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So as I mentioned, like for e-learning, we mostly use Articulate only. So we use those interactivities and activities elements that are there in Articulate 360. But for offline, this thing for you may call it no, VILTs or ILTs. There are a lot of gamification. This thing like Menti.com, which helps you create a lot of gamified elements like word cloud or maybe polling or something like that, which engages the learner. Kahoot is
the
one of them.
Mentimeter,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. So
the Mentimeter.
Mentimeter, Kahoot for offline, I would say instructor-led trainings. And for e-learning, we are majorly using Articulate 360 only.
Okay, yeah,
And
that's
for
great.
game based, it's a different scene altogether. This requires, I think, amalgamation of lot of technologies.
Yes, I think yeah, that is true. Yeah, or did you come across any other similar gamification side? Because I think that is easy on the budget. If in case some companies or such organizations, if they would like to go.
I
So is
I
there
I
any
really
which?
I really could not find. I tried, but I wherever I saw, like, people are using Articulate 360 only.
Yes, yes, I think yeah, that is true. And what I
Or
see
maybe
is
we
number
don't
one.
have that much. Yeah, sorry,
You
I cut you. Yeah,
don't you think Canva is also helping us to get those
in
things
the
right?
gamification,
Uh-huh.
I have not used it.
The
For
interactivity,
yeah, yeah, interact for
interactivity which it
interactivity.
offers.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think that is really good. And also, I think iSpring Solutions is one of the
yeah.
offerings which is very majorly and widely used. So I think even they have amazing, would say, fun elements for a corporate learning, right? I think
E-learning you're
you
talking
can,
about.
yeah, the iSpring software.
Yeah,
It's like what to say. It is one of the rapid learning authoring tool which is widely used.
right.
iSpring.com. Yeah, if you are interested, yeah, you can go ahead and explore that. I'm just leaving a note on that in the chat. Yeah. So those are things. Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing that, Meena. And I think yeah. So yeah, let's go ahead and quickly summarize because we are running out of time. Yeah.
Yeah, so we learned about gamification. It is being used in non-game context, and we use the elements of gamification as leaderboard, badges, reward points, levels. We can have rules also, timer and things like that. And we learned the most important thing, that gamification is not same as game-based learning. Two are different concepts and are used differently in different settings only. So we must understand this difference, and also we can try to, as I mentioned before also, I think I mentioned it twice, that we can make dry content interesting also, using these elements, even if we don't have the budget. Rather than using tell and test mode, test and tell mode, use test and tell mode to uh, make the learning engaging. So that is one of the ways. Or for example, tell and test is one way, and the other way is, you know show and tell. For example, if something is for example, if something is if you want to show the importance of something, you know then show them, what if this is not there, you know so put them in a scenario when it is not there, let them explore the scenario when this is not there, and then tell them, then this is what happens if this is not there. So this is one or two tricks or techniques that I use in my learning journeys, and while I create some courses where there is no budget, and so you can use those kind of tips and tricks to make your learning more engaging.
Yes. Thank you for that. And
I
yes.
hope
So
it
with that.
helps. I hope it helps.
Yes. Yeah. With that, we wrap up today's episode.
Sure,
And
sure.
I want to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Meena for
Thank you,
graciously
Sandeep.
accepting. Yeah,
Thank
for
you for
graciously.
the invite. I
Yes.
hope
Yeah.
I
So
hope the
thank you.
session I hope the session might have given some bit of new learning, or some bit of new insight into this concept of gamification, as everybody is talking about. So yeah, thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank you for the
Yes,
invite. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, definitely. Our listeners, our participants would definitely agree to that. Yes, at least for me, I was able to understand what is the difference between gamification and gamified learning. Yeah, but not just going with the concept very much spoken outside, right? So, thank you very much for accepting our invite and joining us to share
thank
your
you,
insights, yeah, on gamification versus gamified learning here at LXD Guild webinar.
thank
And
you.
to our listeners, yeah, this is to our listeners. We hope today's discussion was enriching and helped you understand how to craft meaningful and impactful learning experiences using gamification. And this is me, Sandeep, signing off and wishing you a good rest of the day or the night. And as always, at LXD Guild, learning never stops. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.